All right, welcome to the Rokani Media Football. How are you guys? I know you're watching us from I go by the names of Rokani David. It's much like pattern, comment, and share. If you're totally watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on the stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rokani David is my name, and hope you guys are really having pure fun wherever you are, and continue to obviously do the needful and really subscribe because we want to hit the magic number of 30,000 subscribers in here onto this beautiful channel. Now, we're here to talk about Bruno Guimarães again. Remember, we've already gone ahead to let you know what happened yesterday about Arsenal showing interest in signing Bruno Guimarães, and obviously there is another big update that has been obviously issued in here as far as this deal is concerned here onto a beautiful channel known as the Rokani Media Football. So yesterday story came in through that the lad is wanted by Arsenal. I'm talking about Bruno Guimarães. And obviously, because Arsenal's appetite is so high, they couldn't take some long time without obviously putting in a bid. And this was confirmed by Fabrizio Romano that Arsenal made formal approach in the last 24 hours for Bruno Guimarães. Plan to try talks for £55 million was immediately rejected by Newcastle. Newcastle want to keep Bruno Guimarães and told Arsenal they won't sell for that fee. Now, that's what Fabrizio Romano told us. Then we went ahead, obviously, getting a story from David Austin today, confirming to us that Arsenal made verbal offer to sign Bruno Guimarães from Newcastle United. Arsenal proposal through intermediaries below £60 million rejected, plus Newcastle insist sale of 28-year Brazilian international midfielder will not be entertained. You get? So, the fact is, we know what Newcastle does. Each and every time I hear a club that we are not willing to sell, if I'm to be on a record, we all know exactly what went ahead to happen on the deal of Alexander Isak. You understand? Newcastle played the L game because they wanted to obviously get in a replacement for Alexander Isak. And when they got him in, when they got in Walter Mede and this other guy, when they got in Walter Mede and Wissa, you know exactly what happened. They went ahead to obviously find themselves in a position of really putting in a very huge shift to let the guy go to Liverpool. But their word was, we are not selling the player. And I tell you, if the interest was not there, and if the player had not gone ahead to give Arsenal green light to go ahead and obviously proceed with this deal, there is no way they would have gone ahead to obviously come up and really say that they were obviously going to be doing this, I tell you. But because green light had been given to Arsenal, that's why the intermediaries went ahead to tell Newcastle that we are putting in a bid of such and such amount of money. And indeed, that amount of money is £55 million. And I tell you what, for Newcastle, they are facing a very hard time, especially in that midfield. They might be left with only one midfielder in there known as Joe Wellington. You understand? Why? Because Sandro Tonali is also on the move. Bruno Guimarães is also on the move. When I came in through and I broke this story on this channel, I told you that Bruno Guimarães is obviously going to come up and really make it so hard for Newcastle. Because at 28 years of age, turning 29 in this November this year, there is no way you turn down an opportunity like that to play for a big team known as Arsenal, because there is no way Newcastle matches the levels of Arsenal. Arsenal are the reigning champions of the Premier League, and they went ahead to play in the Champions League final. And with Casemiro, right, going out of the Brazilian national team, because I do believe this is his last tournament for Brazil. Obviously, Bruno Guimarães will want to consolidate his position at the Brazilian national team in that midfield, and he knows exactly that. There are many other players like Ederson developing. Ederson has gone ahead to Manchester United, and if Bruno Guimarães stays at Newcastle and Ederson goes ahead to shine at Manchester United, obviously Carlo Ancelotti will choose a player known as Ederson ahead of him because he's playing in the Champions League and he's playing for a bigger club. So Bruno Guimarães knows it that there is nothing that is obviously gonna stop him from really going to Arsenal. He's gonna push for this deal. He's not gonna let this slip through his hands. And as I told you that Andre Bata had already talked to his agents even in March when he came in through last year at Arsenal to tell him that he really wants to see to it that all goes on well as planned. So as it stands, the club of Newcastle are like, we are not selling, but we know to it that they want to sell. And now I think they are working on getting in 2 midfielders in there for you to see to it that they really replace these two. And their CEO once again went ahead to obviously make a statement that every player at Newcastle is up for sale, provided the club meets the realistic evaluation for the club of Newcastle. You understand? And he hinted onto a fee presented like that of Alexandra Isak. That's why you see to it that a player known as Sandro Tonali, they want £100 million, non-negotiable. And I think for Bruno Guimarães, they'll want like 70 or 80 million pounds, I tell you, because 55 plus £5 million of add-ons, that is 60 million pounds, have been rejected by a team known as Newcastle. So Arsenal are working tooth and nail, and they are really doing their best to see to it that they really go ahead and really get this deal over the line. But we wait and see what Arsenal is obviously going to be doing next. Are they going back with a better bid? Because the way Arsenal is attacking this window, it's like, the way Arsenal is attacking this transfer, it's like the confirmation is all out there from the player that indeed they want to leave the club known as Newcastle to join the Londoners, and it will be a very huge addition to the side of Arsenal, I tell you. Big improvement in the midfield, and that really speaks volumes onto exactly what the world will be seeing in that midfield of Arsenal. You know, I told you about Declan Rice and how he really looked tired. You need a Bruno Guimarães to come into your team to obviously offer you something different in there for you. So that is exactly what we are having in here onto the Rokani Media Football about Bruno Guimarães. Arsenal's first verbal bid of £55 million have been rejected, and are they planning to go in for another one? I think we'll be informed about Arsenal's appetite. Has it gone ahead to obviously shrink, or it's just surging to see to it that they really put in a very huge shift altogether and really gate the player of their dreams? Nico is one of those players that very many teams have been wanting to sign because of his qualities, and they knew to it that maybe Como couldn't obviously go north of what Madrid really wanted. Madrid set an ultimatum that before Monday they should obviously come to a deal with his side. But finally, the deal is done and dusted, and it's Fabrizio Romano exclusive. Como agreed deal with Real Madrid to buy Nico on permanent move. Here we go. Agreement reached as Como will rebuy Nico from Real Madrid. Nico wanted to stay at Como. Real Madrid will keep control on Nico and maintain buyback clause in there for you. So they've gone ahead to buy Nico again. That is it. And I tell you what, this boy is one of those players that is the next big thing in the game of football. And I think what he has gone ahead to obviously do is very, very, very amazing. He's with the Argentina national team in here, and he hasn't featured predominantly as a starter, but Nico is being prepared for the next big role at Argentina. And I think these players will obviously have to respect him. And if at all they don't respect him, then it will be one of those deals that will obviously maybe cause the problems at a team known as Argentina. But for Nico obviously, I tell you, it is very, very important to stay with Cesc Fabregas and really develop better in there for you. So, what are the deal details? Fabrizio Romano has gone ahead to drop them. Como will buy Nico for €60 million valuation from Real Madrid, but including a heavy sell-on clause, not €60 million fee, and buyback clause too. Cesc Fabregas and Suazo crucial again in the last 24 hours to get it done. Also with Nico Paz's approval in there for you. So they're like, Como will buy Nico Paz for 60 million valuation from Real Madrid. You understand? So they're going to pay 60 million euros to obviously have this player. And for me, I'm just excited to see Nico Paz in the Champions League. That is it. And I would love to see him really unleash his magic in there for you. But that shows you that Real Madrid has gone ahead to sell another homegrown player. And they've gone ahead to bargain 60 million euros. If they've gone ahead to bargain 60 million euros, my brother, I tell you, that is a lot of money for Real Madrid because it comes in through as a pure profit. And now I think they can advance to obviously get in the midfielders they want because they can use that money and obviously bring in Rodrigo Cascante from Man City and also Enzo Fernandez from Chelsea. I tell you they can, as if Enzo is 120 million euros, you know, they can give him a contract of like 6 years, and every year they'll be called to pay 20 million euros. That means every quarter that will be 5 million euros in there for you. So with this amount of money they've gotten, because it's a profit, they'll obviously have to pay some good money in there for you, and they can also go to Man City and buy Rodrigo Cascante. Rodrigo Cascante, who is left with just, I think, 1 year on his contract, won't be as expensive as these other players. And obviously, I do smell a price of close to 50 million euros, 60 for Madrid to obviously get in Rodrigo Cascante. Your thoughts on Bruno Guimarães' first verbal bid rejected by Newcastle from Arsenal are welcome in the comment section below. And Nico Paz obviously joining Como. Rokani David is my name. I sign out for now. See you later, my